jersey. I got Pavelski, Nils, and Dadanoff or Dadanoff.
There you
However you
go.
prefer to say it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's pull up the our nifty difty bracket now that we had to go fix the internet 13 freaking times.
Maple Leafs pulled through.
I saw that. I was watching earlier. That actually was the biggest surprise of the night so far.
Right.
I just, with missing their best player, I did not see them surviving.
Right.
Florida's through. The Rangers are through. Carolina appears to be through. That game is over now.
Yeah.
We could have a whole bunch of series end tonight. Colorado, Winnipeg could end, and so can Nashville.
Yep.
So the big question is who wins tonight?
Right. So they're tied in Colorado there? Or are they in Winnipeg right now?
They are in Winnipeg. It's a whiteout.
Gotcha. Man, I don't know. I mean, they've got to be playing desperate. They've got to be.
It's 2-2.
Right. Playing to at least push.
I'm sorry, 3-1 rather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Colorado can end it. It's 2-2 over in Vancouver tonight, but showing the Latvian born NHL goalies to start playoff games. Elvis Merzlikins, Columbus Blue Jackets. Arturas Urbe, the San Jose Sharks from 20-some-odd years ago, started 40-something.
Wow.
And he was with Carolina there for a little bit. And then this kid from playing in Vancouver right now is starting his second because Demko's still out.
Yeah.
They're saying Demko's probably not coming back these playoffs either. So that's going to make this road for Vancouver much, much, much more difficult if the MCL, I think it was the MCL they said it. I think they said he tore or he sprained his MCL.
Ouch.
Which, it's not. It might have been ACL. It was something in his knee. It's not something like maybe if they make a deep run to the finals, he might come back. But like that's, not one you're coming back from very easily. The other news of the day, NHL announced the Calder Trophy finalists.
Okay.
One's not going to be any surprise. You know who that is, Mr. Golden Boy from Chicago.
Oh, gotta love it.
The one that I called, Luke Hughes, is a finalist.
Okay.
And then what's his face, whose name is escaping me? Kid from Minnesota. Another defenseman. But they were talking about
Brock Faber.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. They were talking about how his plus minus is so much better than Luke Hughes, and the reality of the situation is Luke Hughes was on the ice for 22 empty net goals that count against your plus minus.
Okay.
And so he was, without those, he's a -4 on the season for a rookie. And that's pretty good for an offensive defenseman your first full season in the NHL.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all kind of assume, like we've talked about before, where this trophy's headed. And social media can probably tell you that, as we've seen clips throughout the year. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens.
I mean, I think it's going to Bedard. He did, in all honesty, have one of the more effective seasons I've seen out of a rookie in a very long time. Yeah. Especially on a team that was as bad as Edmonton was this year, or not Edmonton. I'm sorry, as Chicago was this year. Sorry, I'm thinking McDavid, because he's the last one I've seen a rookie have that effective of a season was McDavid. I gotta turn that ringer off, or else it's gonna go off in my ear all night.
So yeah, like you said, a few games, few series could end tonight. I'm really wanting to see if Winnipeg can come back.
There it went. There you are.
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay.
my mic just muted itself somehow.
Okay, I got you.
That was weird. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Why in the world did this just die? There we go. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
My computer decided to put the audio on the computer instead of my headphones again for some reason.
Dang it.
But yeah, Bedard had a great season. Hughes had a great season. Didn't go the Devils' way with the injuries, but what are you gonna do? It brings us, we got to start talking. What do you think happens the rest of the night here? What do we got? Colorado. We got a tie in Colorado. We got a tie in Vancouver.
Yeah.
What happens here? I mean, the Islanders hung around for as long as they could, and then Carolina ran away in the end there.
Yeah, they clobbered them in the end. I don't know. I think there's an opportunity for Nashville to push it to one more game, depending on how they play. Right now, sitting at 0-all.
It's 2-2 though, right? The series on Nashville, they can't end it tonight.
No, it's 3-1.
Is it?
Yeah, Vancouver took that.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Overtime.
It is 3-1.
Yeah.
I don't know why I completely forgot about that. And I got the graphics sitting right in front of me too.
Yeah.
I honestly think Colorado figures out a way to get it done tonight.
Okay.
I think the bigger problem is if they don't, you're just really allowing that Jets team to wake up.
Right.
Hellebuck's actually playing tonight what he has been capable of. The defense seems to be awake. That team just hasn't looked complete at all this series. They've just gotten clobbered. Like the Avs have just managed to run roughshod through them. But is what it is.
Yeah, that first game was competitive, but after that, the Avs just kind of took off with the series.
Yeah, they putting 6 goals a game on Hellebuck. Who does that?
Right.
Yeah, Vezina Trophy winner. 2-time in a row, back-to-back Vezina Trophy winner. Who's putting up 6 goals a game on him in the playoffs?
For sure.
I mean, he does have a habit of kind of disappearing in the playoffs, but this is a whole new level of disappearing.
Right.
That Morrissey has not played well, and none of that defense has played well, and that team was solid. And I'm curious how much of that is the inexperience in the playoffs versus you're playing Colorado. They got championship pedigree. They've been here before. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what year it is. It's all it's always a tough challenge to come up against Colorado in the postseason.
I mean, Florida, I didn't see them doing what they did. Tampa's got, championship pedigree. We love those terms in hockey, but there's not many more teams on the planet that have more championship pedigree than Tampa. What Stamkos got 3 since he's been there?
Right. Absolutely.
I don't think he's going to be there next year. That'll be a really weird thing to see him in a different uniform. I just don't think Tampa's going to shell out the money a man with the name of Steven Stamkos is going to require.
Right. Where do you see him going?
Oddly enough, I feel like Salt Lake's going to make a huge play.
Okay.
I feel like Salt Lake's going to try to throw a ton of money at Steve Stamkos at the tail end of his career. Just you got to have a name there.
Right.
And
are we talking about the Salt Lake Hockey Club or the Salt Lake Yetis?
I'm hoping it's the Yetis. Yetis or Blizzard seem to be the 2 winners. But I mean, if they're bringing it up to a fan vote, which is pretty cool. I think the Devils were one of the last teams to do that back in '82 when they came here before I was born.
Nice.
They put it out in the newspaper. I can't think of any other teams in recent memory that put it out to a fan vote. But What was the list of teams? I sent them to you earlier. Let me pull it up real quick.
You got HC, Blizzard, Utah Hockey Club, Yeti, and then something else.
Yeah, Utah Ice, Fury, Yetis, Venom, Blizzard, Outlaws, Mammoth, and Hockey Club.
Yeah.
So 8 mascot bracket to pick Utah's official team. Now it's officially trademarked for 8 names versus the ones that we originally broke when they first trademarked a bunch of names.
Nice.
So it looks like they added the Ice and the Yetis to that original 16. Gotcha. It looks like they might have added. Yeah, it looks like they just dropped HC and are just got the Hockey Club one.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind a bunch of these names as long as you don't name the team the Hockey Club. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like, I get it with Washington, you had to get rid of that name, but like, there were so many better names. Like, you could have just gone with the Red Tails, named it after like the first ever Air Force Black Battalion. Like, you know, you had so many opportunities there, and you just went Commanders, yay!
Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, I get it. It's the nation's capital, but you know, that was, in my opinion, one of the lazier team naming options that you could have done.
Right.
What do we got here? Next period start over there in Winnipeg yet?
Yeah, they're down to.
No, I gotta switch to split screen then.
There you go. All quiet in Vancouver over there.
Yeah, still all quiet in Vancouver. Still nothing. Very tentative first period in Vancouver. Nobody's really like pressing the pace. It looks like everybody's trying to kind of feel each other out.
Got that cautious play going.
Yeah, you know, well, Nashville can't lose, and Vancouver, it's the hardest thing in the NHL to do is close out a team.
Right.
But is that Cogliano? Great pass over there. Yeah, that's not even Hellebuck. Who's in net for Winnipeg? I didn't even turn this game on earlier. Now I feel dumb. That's not even Hellebuck. Who is that in net? Let's look at the stats here.
Let's take a look.
That's got to be an executive decision there, not to play your boy. Oh no, it is Hellebuck. He's been in the game 21 minutes. It just didn't look like him for a second.
Oh, okay. There. Okay.
So I thought maybe they'd benched him for his recent performances. But speaking of recent performances, Devils sent Tyler Toffoli, and he has produced absolutely nothing in the playoffs for these guys.
Right.
If you're expecting one of those rental players that you pay a high-end rental player, you're expecting him to do something when you get to the playoffs. Not he just seems invisible.
Right.
Jets just took a dumb penalty. Ooh, that looks like it hurts.
So let's talk about the brackets a little bit. What do you see happening? Obviously, still got a few games going on, but
we were right about Florida, the Rangers, Carolina so far.
Yep.
Edmonton's still holding strong. Colorado, Dallas is the only one that I'm like, I don't know what you guys are gonna do.
Yeah.
You guys battled back after losing 2 on the road or 2 at home to win 2 on the road.
Right.
It's never easy, but now it starts a whole brand new series. So
yeah,
I think you guys still have the talent to make a deep run. It's going to depend realistically on the play of Jake Ottinger, on what your defense can do in front of him.
Right.
I think that's the big question mark for you guys is, and it's kind of the big question mark all over the NHL right now is, what are these star goaltenders like? What the hell is going on with them?
Right.
Ottinger's played okay. Hellebuck got goals against average of 5 and change so far these playoffs.
Yeah.
These guys are the guys you depend on. Vasilevsky washed out of the playoffs in 4 games.
Right.
Shesterkin's probably the only one who's, played to, his talent level.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's still doing, the rotating Swayman Allmark game, which I don't understand how long you can continue to, not let a goalie get into any rhythm in the playoffs,
right,
and not have it be a major problem. So if you're asking me, I think Boston either ends it the next game or manages to find a way to lose this.
Right.
That
would be insane.
I think Edmonton. I think LA is going to push Edmonton one more game. I think it's going to end in 6. Colorado looks ready to close it out tonight. But again, depends on what Hellebuck does. Scheifele looks like he's possessed, skating all over the ice, just taking people out. And they just don't seem to want to go away. So right. I think this game goes to overtime and it ends up being a coin flip. And then I think Vancouver manages to find a way to close it out at home.
Okay.
You're at home. They're skating pretty well if you don't have that game going on in the background.
Right.
JT Miller looks good. Quinn Hughes all over the ice as normal. Saros is playing well, but it's only, a matter of time before things catch up with you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to look at the defense as well,
Yeah.
What's going on in front of that goalie on both sides of the net.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not as hasn't been Soros's hasn't really been his playoffs yet. I mean, they played fine, he's played fine, but
right.
When you're used to a guy being a Vezina candidate, you're used to a guy being a Vezina candidate, not a guy being, a shadow of a Vezina candidate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Ugh.
Yeah, we'll see. You got Game 5 tomorrow here in Dallas. We'll see what comes of that.
What do you think happened there? What do you think's going to happen there? You watch them more than I do.
Yeah, I watch every single game. I mean, we took all the momentum with that win the other night. So, like you said, it's going to be, can Ottinger really contain the way that he's been containing that last period? He was unstoppable. He was a big reason why we won that game.
Yeah.
And then can we continue to get that depth scoring from all 4 lines? I think that'll be a key.
That's always the toughest part about the playoffs is that depth scoring. They were talking about it today in which one of the earlier games was it that I was watching? Oh, they're talking about it in the Carolina Islanders game. You're just getting 4 lines of scoring. What do you do with that?
Right.
Like how do you stop 4 lines of rotating scoring? And I mean, the Islanders, weren't the best team in the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination. They kind of squeaked their way in there.
Right.
But they definitely weren't the worst. They weren't the Capitals.
That's for sure.
And just to see him, Zach Parise's down, doesn't look good. But to see them, that's his knee. Knee on knee is what he's calling. But no, yeah, you don't see a team not go far after getting 4 lines of scoring like the Caps did that entire series.
Right.
And it's not easy to get 4 lines of scoring. Think about, I mean, even the Rangers got 4 lines of scoring against Washington, but that's because Matt Rempe's 170 feet tall and just stands in front of the net that bounces off his ass and goes in.
Right.
But it's not exactly. Oh, his knee just buckled. That wasn't a bad hit at all. His knee just cracked Parise in the head after Parise's knee buckled. Oof, that's unlucky.
So I haven't followed the Matthews narrative too closely. What is he out? Like it was just a few games, or what's going on with him?
They're not going to tell us. It's the NHL playoffs.
Yeah,
they're we're going to get. He's got a something body injury.
Right.
and he's going to be day to day. That's all we're going to get out of Toronto out of that. The NHL is infinitely tight-lipped when it comes to the health and status of players come playoff time.
Right.
You don't want to get Boston the upper edge there to be able to plan ahead for Matthews not being there. Now we can double team Marner. Now we can Nylander randomly came back. We can double team him too.
Right.
You don't want to give that information away for free. This is why, like, where in the world is Michael Nylander? That's why I posted that post. Because William Nylander, rather, because Colorado just scored. Because we had no idea what was going on with him.
Right.
And that's what we're going to get with Austin Matthews, which is crazy, considering, he's probably, the number 2 best player on the planet right now, number 3 best player. He's definitely top 5. He's up there. It's just nuts for us not to get updates,
Yeah.
It would never fly in any other league besides the NHL. I mean, I like that part about the NHL, but it would never fly in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. You'd never be able to get away with that.
Right. Let me ask you
can
this.
Call a guy day to day, but
let me ask you this. So this series that we're talking about with each, and it hadn't been a few, the Leafs are clawing their way back. How much does this make Boston look at last year versus the Panthers? Are they in their head or okay?
I think you can't help it if you're Boston. The parallels are right there. You were up 3-1 against a very scrappy team.
Right.
You're up 3-1 against a very scrappy team. So it's what in the world? Stop it. Leave me alone. Sorry, my phone keeps dinging even though I turned off the notifications. No, I think you can't help but think about it. The parallels are there. Toronto's a scrappy team that doesn't want to go away. Florida is not your rival like Toronto is, but it's got to be in the back of your head. We had Florida on the ropes, and Matthew Tkachuk and the boys just decided they weren't going to lose anymore.
Right.
Now, that's going to depend on if Austin Matthews is back next game, because if he's back next game and Toronto wins, I think Boston's in big, 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 big trouble.
Oh, yeah. Because you're just playing defensively at that point. You just cannot allow a goal.
Yeah, because if they drop Game 6, I still don't think Toronto does it. What's it been 70 years since Toronto's beaten Boston in a playoff series?
Right.
Something ridiculous like that. They lost 8 in a row to Boston in the regular season. They had lost 6 in a row in the playoffs or something like that. After winning 2. I just honestly think that Boston roster with Brad Marchand behind it has Toronto's number right now.
Right.
I mean, anything could happen. Crazier things have happened, but I think it's going to take a lot out of Toronto to be able to get themselves over the hump. You got to think about it. How many times can you play the same team and lose to the same damn team and it not be in the back of your head, this team just always kills us.
Right. For sure.
My Devils had the same problem with the Carolina Hurricanes a couple years back. Just anytime we played them in the playoffs, they just automatic loss for the Devils in 6 to 7 games. Yeah. Even Game 7, we had a 3-2 lead. Carolina scores 2 goals in 30 seconds, and we're like, "What the hell just happened?" Bye, Devils. That was a couple years back. But again, yeah, I don't foresee this Maple Leafs team overcoming Boston. I don't know. I know John Tavares is a great leader, a great captain. And Austin Matthews is one of the best players on the planet. I don't see them having the intestinal fortitude, for lack of a better phrase. I don't see it. I don't know if you do. Especially when you got guys like Austin Matthews missing games, Mitch Marner's not Mitch Marner, William Nylander missing games. You got your biggest names missing games. You can't do that and have actual success in the Stanley Cup playoffs, because you need guys like Nylander, you need guys like Matthews, you need those guys to step up and play big games and big minutes.
Yep.
And like we'll see if Matthews is back next game, because I think that makes it a little more interesting. That said, I don't think he'll be back next game.
Right.
I think we would have already heard.
Fair enough.
If he was going to be back next game.
So shifting over a little bit to looking at some of the postseason stat leaders. If I'm playing the Panthers, I'm scared to death of Kachuk and Verhaeghe.
Oh, yeah, you think?
Like, imagine jumping into a series with those two. They're both touting 9 points already. Top of the list, Connor McDavid, only one above him with 10 points in the postseason. I mean, what's your game plan against that?
Go back to 1990s hockey and try clutching and grabbing to try to keep them like in front of you. Like that's like, as a defenseman, that's your only gameplay there is try to keep those two in front of you.
Right.
Because you let one of them behind you, the both of them are great passers. You know, they're not going to miss each other.
Yeah. True.
I like Florida still to go all the way. I honestly I don't see any team that stacks up real well against that Florida roster.
Right. It's going to be a battle. It doesn't matter.
Maybe Boston, maybe New York.
Yeah.
Stacks up better than the others. I mean, Carolina's always good. And you know, they've seen Florida a bunch this year, so they'll they're not going to roll over and die. It's the playoffs, but I don't see anybody stopping Matthew Tkachuk right now. He's on a friggin' freight train.
And you could say the same thing, about Draisaitl and McDavid. You know, looking at the numbers, Draisaitl's got 8 points. McDavid's 10 points, leading the pack.
Who else on that roster has points though? Is it the same old McDavid and Draisaitl show where the rest of the team does nothing?
Right.
Because for that team to succeed, you need that secondary scoring out of guys like Evander Kane, who has resurrected his career.
Right.
You can't just have McDavid and Draisaitl do all the work.
Very true.
It's who else on that? Yeah, like let's look at who else on that roster has really any really good performances besides those two. Because having watched a lot of hockey, I frankly don't remember anybody on any of those rosters really doing much.
Right.
Yeah, it drops off after Hyman and Bouchard. The next one's Nugent Hopkins, who's averaging a point a game with 4 points, and then the rest, like the next highest is 2.
Right.
Like the rest of that roster isn't really doing much to help out. Like even Evander Kane's got 2 points. Like it's again that first line and a half.
Yeah,
is crushing it. So that's been their downfall how many years in a row?
Right, right.
You get performance out of the first line, you get nothing out of the rest.
They end up going against Carolina. That's not going to hold up.
No, especially when you got guys like Martinook on the back end there who will take your damn head off if you skate across the middle of the ice.
Right.
And in all honesty, Martinook's probably one of the defensemen in the NHL that can actually keep up with Connor McDavid.
Yep.
Because there's not a lot.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true.
Well, according to DraftKings, the Oilers are the odds-on favorite to win the Western Conference, followed by Colorado, and then Vancouver.
Oh man.
Well, Edmonton's plus 200, Colorado's plus 260, Vancouver was plus 700.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I didn't even think Dallas would be in the picture after dropping those first 2 games. Now they're kind of chopping back, and we'll see.
Yeah, you can never count a team out in the playoffs like that, though. You got to think about the Devils. last year down 3-1 to the Rangers, had to win 3 games in a row with a rookie goaltender. You never know. It's the playoffs.
Right. For sure.
You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, the Jets came back.
They've been trading goals. It was 1-0, then 1-1, then 2-1, then 2-2.
Okay. See what that rest of that period 2 looks like.
They are not playing as tentatively as they are over in Nashville or Vancouver, rather.
Right.
No call on that. All right. I guess we're not calling slashing in the playoffs now.
What have you seen in just watching the various games? I mean, I've seen a lot of missed calls and a lot of just ridiculous calls, but what have you kind of seen just high level?
It's kind of par for the course for playoff hockey. Kind of the refs kind of want to put the whistle away, let you play a little bit more. I haven't seen anything that's been like incredibly egregious. Like on slow motion, that Matt Rempe hit, it looks like he left his feet. But if you watch it in like real time, it doesn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really seen anything that's like too over the top in terms of, intent to injure or anything. Normally by this time in the playoffs, we got some big controversy somewhere about somebody trying to kill somebody, taking a hit from behind, something of the nature. Normally we get something like that. I'm quite surprised we haven't yet, because it has been, a very physical playoff start to the playoffs. But it's been hard fought and fairly clean. I don't really see a problem with any of the hockey that's being played right now.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to let the teams, let them go both ways. Go both ways. If you don't go, like, if you're making the calls one direction and not the other, it's going to suck.
For sure.
But that said, I don't really feel like the refs have been incredibly visible, which is always kind of what you want as a referee.
Yeah.
It's like people not to realize you're there.
Right.
But yeah, I think the playoffs this year have been fairly straightforward. The only series that's the hardest one is like the one we predicted to be the hardest one, that Stars Knights series.
Oh yeah.
It's not easy. It's never easy playing Vegas because all of a sudden, Vegas. Well, not all of a sudden, but Vegas was allowed to build a borderline superstar roster
right.
to start their franchise. So no matter what, they're always going to be a tough team to match up against. But I think, I think you guys have weathered the storm. The worst of what was going to come probably came those first 2 games.
Right.
And you guys managed to battle back, and now you got a series. And again, like I said, it's going to come down to Jake Ottinger, what he can do.
Right.
Because if Jake Ottinger goes, crazy and does what he's able to do and just shuts the door on everything like he did the other night,
right?
You guys will probably win the next 2 games, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
If he plays like he did game 1 and 2, you're gonna have a much different story. For sure.
Just a few things, just kind of looking at Thompson over there. So their goalie. Mm-hmm. Really tight, but just a lot of situations. And I've seen on the national broadcast as well as on the regional broadcast team talking about it. There's certain ways that he sets up as he's preparing for a block or whatever that looks like, leaving himself open, kind of that middle ground. They've talked about 5-hole as well, but a lot of it just I want to say they said stick side. Just a certain way that he brings his pads down as he's preparing is kind of leaving him open for a big gap. So we'll see if the Stars can continue to, capitalize on that.
Yeah, well, you're talking about he's a taller dude too. That's kind of the common theme for some of those taller dudes is one side or the other always ends up being favored, or their 5-hole sucks if they don't favor one side or the other and have to they manage to mitigate that with stick staves down the middle.
Right.
But yeah, Thompson being a bigger guy, I'm not surprised he's got a hole there. I'm more surprised it's not the glove side. Just that seems to be where guys get weaker when they get bigger. And they're trying to drop because you overcompensate because they always think your glove is faster than it is. but yeah, again, that whole series is going to end up being decided by goaltending.
Right, for sure. Another thing I was looking at the last game is obviously playoff hockey is going to be different than regular season. But, Dallas, I want to say number 3 in the league on comeback wins for the regular season. When you look at where Vegas, they landed around number 17.
Okay.
And so you think about that, all Dallas really has to do is turn on those 4 lines like we were talking about earlier. Because Vegas, it's when the Stars lose, it's because we make defensive errors and we make stupid decisions early. And then we just can't recover. But if those 4 lines are turned on and we're getting help from, all 4 lines offensively, it's tougher for Vegas to come back. And I just I noticed it this last game. And so I kind of pulled some stats and I'm like, I did not expect them to see Vegas 17th and come from behind wins. But that's where it was at. So
that was the difference with the Devils. That was the difference with the Devils this year. They went from first or second in the league with come from behind wins to like 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
We matched the Islanders in wins, but because we lost a shitload of games in overtime and lost games in the last third, the third period, the last 10 minutes of the game, and decided not to start playing hockey till halfway through the second period, and then had to play catch up from 3 goals down.
Mm-hmm.
Those little itty bitty things add up in the end.
Right.
And what you saw is now the Stars did what the Devils did last year and won a lot of those come from behind games and positioned themselves near the top of the NHL. Devils, have the best season points wise in New Jersey Devils history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's those little tiny things that, change the entirety of a season for a team.
For sure.
Think about, was that the year before Colorado won the Cup when they missed the playoffs?
Yeah.
Like all those little things they did wrong. They ended up near the bottom of the league, and the next year they're the top of the league.
Right.
You talk about the Blues on their Cup run. Went from last in the NHL to first or second in the NHL because they just started doing the little things right.
Yeah.
And more than, at least in my opinion, more than not, hockey is more a game of inches than anything else.
For sure.
More than any other sport, it's a missed poke check here, a missed poke check there. Now you've lost 3 games that you normally would have won.
Right. 100%.
Holy crap, they're hitting the hell out of each other in Winnipeg. 27 hits for Winnipeg, 17 for Colorado.
Oh, man.
Well, that was, the game 1 in Boston and Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
League average on hits for the entire season across all the games was like 20 hits a game for each of those teams. And game 1, it was like halfway through the first period or the second period, and there was like 60 something hits. They each had like 30 each already. So playoff hockey is not, regular season hockey is kind of, I feel like, an understatement. A lot of these hits these guys get away with, you're not getting away with the regular season.
Oh, for sure.
You're given an extra second to lay a hit before they'll call it an interference, things of that nature. Like the little tiny things that, make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
That said, how have you felt about the officiating in the Star Series?
Well, I want to talk about this point. I'm just pulling these stats up. Who do you think is the worst or the least hitting team in the NHL in the regular season this year?
The Oilers.
Colorado Avalanche. So it just goes to show, to your point, it's a different beast altogether when the postseason hits.
Absolutely.
Florida Panthers were number 1, which you're going to expect that. That's what they do all year long. Yeah,
Jets just put it in their own net.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's unlucky.
That's a no-go. That's a no-go. But yeah, you were saying about the Star Series?
Oh, how have you felt about the officiating there, since you brought up the officiating before?
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm biased being a Stars fan, but there have been playoff seasons where it's been a lot worse. Like, dude, there's no way that was a call. The freaking ref is wearing the other team's jersey tonight. I haven't seen anything like that this year. I feel like it's been pretty even kill, kind of straight down the line for the most part.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, again, like I said, I haven't really saw anything that was egregious at all in any of the series, which gives us a lot less to talk about. But yeah, Lakotan scored that goal off of I think it was Pionk. Hit him right in the stick and went right past Hellebuck.
So on the east side, I haven't caught a lot of the east side games. Are penalties costing a lot of these outcomes, or is it just 5-on-5? No, okay.
There's been a fair share of power plays for both sides, but not really.
Okay.
If you look at the east side, outside of that Boston series, all the other series are over. It has not been very close except for the Boston series.
Gotcha.
Okay. Florida steamrolled Tampa, New York steamrolled Washington, Carolina steamrolled the Islanders. It's the West has been a little closer, sort of. At least you don't have a sweep on the West, but yeah, this first round of the playoffs, I really want them to go back to the old 1v8 method. Instead of just leaving, everybody, you've seen them 100 times a year, so you're going to get very one-sided playoff series, or you're going to get teams that, lost the whole regular season. Now they're going to win in the playoffs because they came back. I get why the NHL did it, try to bring back the old rivalries, but you're getting really, really, really weird matches that in reality, the Rangers should not have gotten a first round bye, which is basically what they got with Washington.
Oh, for sure. How do you feel as a fan with Washington? I know there are a lot of teams that are really like you said, it was a game of inches for them to even get into the finals or get into the playoffs. You feel what teams really could have made a difference had they snuck into that spot?
Pittsburgh probably is the only one that I think would have pushed the Rangers to 7. Even my Devils, if they snuck in with all the injuries there, they weren't going to do much. The Flyers, had they not collapsed, would have been a challenging team because they've been playing playoff hockey since December. Right. But they decided to lose 8 of 12 games and just not make the playoffs for some reason. Yeah. But if you're asking me which team would have pushed the Rangers the furthest, it would have had to be Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I think even if the Islanders get the Rangers, they take that series more seriously. Crosstown rival and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, sure. Okay.
But that said, I think we have covered basically everything. And unfortunately, I gotta go to the bathroom and walk my dog.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's a bit late here on the East Coast, but yeah, let's set something up for this coming week where we can actually have a much a longer stream a little earlier. That way we can get our people on the East Coast, who aren't waiting for the weekends.
Absolutely, sounds like a plan.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you.
All right, later.
Bye.